Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yadkrupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om शिष्यात्म समर्पण कार्पण्य दोषो उपहत स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढ चेताः यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Om. Welcome to the class, and we are in the 38th shloka of the second chapter in Bhagavad Gita. The shloka goes like this: Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papamavapsyasi. So here the meaning is Sukham Vino, Dukkham Vino. Sukha Dukkhe, happiness and sorrow. Same Kritva, bring about an equilibrium, an equanimity in it. Kritva, by establishing it in you. Similarly, for Labhaha and Alabhaha. Labham is a very common word that we use. Alabham is the opposite to it, gains and losses. Jaya Jayav. Jayam is victory, again a very common word. Ajayaha is defeat, the opposite of victory. Tato, after that, thereafter, Yuddhaya, with the sole intent or the objective of fighting, Yujyasva, engage in the war. Yuj is to basically unite. So unite to the cause of Yuddha is the basic context that comes here. When you do the Yuddha in such a manner, then Naivam na evam. When you do it in this way, na is not papam avapsyasi. The sins do not get to you. You will gain no sins, is the context. So this is the direct advice from Bhagwan to Arjuna. When we do the analysis of this, we start with saying this is the seed to Karma Yoga. As I mentioned, in the next one only he will speak about it, but here he has already initiated the basic of Karma Yoga. Labham, alabham, jayam, ajayam, sukham, dukkham, all these things to be set to that equanimity is the base for Karma Yoga. Being balanced is important, but the true essence of Karma Yoga is kind of completely packed in this shloka. Same kritva, balancing between dualistic experiences. Sukham, dukkham, comfort and pain, is related to manah. Labham, alabham is related to artha, which is materialistic in nature, kayikam. Jayam and ajayam is buddhi related. So if you take a simple approach, Bhagavan has addressed in all the three planes. If you pay close attention to yourself, anything that you do is with the objective of one or more than one of these three only. It can be all summed up under it. I do it for comfort. I do it for happiness, sukham. I do it to avoid dukkham, what is a possible cause. Then labham, I do it for getting some profit or to prevent suffering from losses, even if in case I am not gaining a profit. So all our activities can be put within this 6 terms: Sukham, Dukkham, Labham, Alabham, Jayam, and Ajayam. There is nothing that can be put beyond it. I'll be happy if someone can tell me something, but you will see that it is eventually falling into one of these 3 categories. Our experience is victory leads to a sense of attainment. And when I attain something, I get a comfort or happiness. I get some pleasure. And this is the approach that we have given to our life. Bhagwan is trying to course correct that. This shloka is important to us from that point of view. When you perform your work as a karma yoga, then first what you have to do is to create an equilibrium between sukham and dukkham. Very consciously, you must be able to practice it. To say that, hey, yeah, it's a bad thing that has happened, it's okay. It's a good thing that has happened, it is okay. Whatever is there, it is okay. As many times I have said, when I was learning Sanskrit, one of the classes where one of the stories, in that book was Ishwara yad karoti shobhanameva karoti. So having that ability to see all the results as something good that has been done is one of the ways of approaching this equanimity. Right? The first thing that Bhagavan says is set this equilibrium in you towards the outcome. Once you have that, thereafter you go and engage in any work that you do. Right? This is the important factor that we have to keep in mind as we move towards the life of Karma Yoga. Now, Acharya has used for same kritva, raga dveshau akritva. Very important word. It is we who do it. Ragam as well as dvesham is not something that is naturally put on us. It is we who initiate it. So what Acharya says is, when Bhagavan says same kritva, what he means is don't get into the act of creating ragam and dvesham, likes and dislikes. Remove that likes and dislikes into you. By removing the attachment to sukham, labham, and jayam, and removing the dislike towards dukkham, alabham, and ajayam. So this is the core message when Acharya says raga dveshau akritva. Now, transactionally, say I am in business. It is but a necessity to be attached to the profit. Without having that profit in mind, I can't do business. I can't be running a business on loss. The existence itself is lost. So how is it that, or what do you mean by don't have labham and alabham? So should I not even think about labham and alabham? The question is how to reconcile this equanimity with effectiveness, non-attachment with responsibility in a real world. Right? When we do anything, be it in our position, in the company, in the family, in the business, whatever it is, there has to be some kind of a transactional reality. So what is meant by equanimity? The message is not to be indifferent. Udasinam is not what is being recommended here. In fact, when Bhagavan uses the term udasinam later, he will say udasinavad asinah, as though you are indifferent, but not really indifferent. Right? Act wholeheartedly without the mind oscillating between attractions and aversions. That is what is meant by equanimity. Now, Bhagavan is not saying ignore gains and losses, don't plan, be careless. They are all tamasic in nature. That is not what Bhagavan says here at all. He says, Same Kritva, keep your inner state even. So the focus is not on renouncing the outcomes, but on renouncing the agitations or the movement that happens in our heart, be it a pleasure or be it a pain. When that outcome is there, there is an agitation typically used as something that is being resisted. I'm not using it from that point of view. Like, I don't know, in a mixed in a what do you say, in a mixie or in a blender, what do? You agitate stuff, right? So from that point of view, that mind goes through that kind of disturbances in us. Renouncing that attitude is what the Samikritva means. So how do we see Bhagavan's words? Renounce the emotional bondage. My happiness depends on the outcome. That kind of a thought, remove it. Egoistic identity. I am the sole doer. I am the controller. I. That focusing it on that I and me, my, me, etc., that should be dropped as well. Then any kind of fear-based aversion. Oh man, if in case I do this, what will happen, kind of a stuff. That is also something that we have to renounce. When you renounce it, what you will naturally cultivate is a steady awareness. There is a absolute clarity in terms of what is happening around you. The clarity of purpose. This is my dharma. To run this business is my dharma, and I have to run it ethically. I have to run it for profit. I have to run it with principle. Then graceful acceptance. Once you get the result, that result is dead. Gata soon. It is gone. Right? We have used this in the 11th Shloka, Gata soon and Agata soon. Right? So towards that which has already happened, develop a graceful acceptance. Why is it that it has come into me? Should not be the thought. This has come to me and this is going to be a prasad that Bhagavan has given. It has come to me because Bhagavan knows I can take care of it. Maybe if in case it has gone to my daughter, she might not have been able to take it up. Or if in case it has gone to someone whom I love, it may not really be good for them, or they may not be able to bear it. So it has come to me because Bhagavan knows I can bear it. That attitude development is what we call as what do you say, Same Kritva. My duty as a businessman is to manage this enterprise honestly and wisely. My duty as a doctor is to save the life of the patient. Correct? So those kind of, for every role, clearly identify and define your dharma in your own mind. Set clear goals. Right? That consciousness towards that goal is very important. That clarity, bring that into you. Act with total focus. When you are acting with your total focus, you put your full skill into it. You don't put your focus on the skill that you have. You put the focus onto the action that you are performing. That skill will naturally come. It is okay. There are mistakes that happens. It is absolutely fine. Right. But that skill should naturally arise, and it should not be something that you drive from within you. When you drive it, it becomes very weak. On the other hand, when you drive towards the, what is the action that you are performing, then the skill will naturally come out. And when it comes out with the best of its form. The diligence will naturally arise. The creativity will kind of overwhelm in you. But it is only when you act, not when you want to be creative. And this is something, when you are trying to be creative, you know how much difficulty you get into. You develop this, what is a skill, you train yourself, you learn. And when you are acting, act. and your focus should be only on that action. Now, watch the mind, the mindfulness that we talk about. When attachment or aversion arises, immediately identify it, witness it, and release it. Right? And this does happen even to the most skilled one. It doesn't happen to the jnani, and we are in the path of becoming a jnani. If that is the case, it will very naturally happen to us. In fact, later, Bhagavan will say, even to the jnani it happens. It is just that the jnani is in control. That's about it. But it is the natural tendency of the manaha to get attracted towards things that are driven by the vasanas, by those impressions which are in your mind. It is not I am doing it. It is manaha has the natural tendency to do it. And because I am the master, I can give a small tap to the manaha and say, hey, focus, and then it will come back to the focus. That is what we need to get to. And beyond all these, accept the results. We, from a management point of view, we say learn from them, adapt. Basically, keep yourself open to whatever the result that comes out. Now, Bhagavan says, Tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsyasi. If I do it this way, why is it that there is no papaha? Why is it that there is no sin? Because when raga dvesha is absent, when the likes and dislikes are absent, there is no adharma that you create, that you do. You perform to your best of your ability. And that too, if in case you are in the nitya sattvastaha state, there you cannot be making an adharmic thing at all. When such a thing happens, na shleshyate karmana is the way that it is said. Right? It does not bind you. The sin or bondage arises not from the action, but from the association of the self into that action. Karma phala, if we take common sense, will bind the karta. I am the doer. So if there is some effect, it is going to affect me. Saying only those who are the karta in a situation, the karma phala binds them. There may be people who come and say that, hey, I was not even part of it, but when somebody's, car met with an accident, I felt the pain. Right? Here, your association in itself is the karma. And hence, you become the karta from the point of view of a witness. Right? If you have not witnessed, that is not going to come to you. Right? There are so many things that you witness, it doesn't affect you. So it is when that aham bhava is getting associated with you, the karta naturally comes. When there is a karta, there is a karma phala that comes to that karta. When we perform this action in this manner, by totally dissociating and purely focusing on what is required to be done and doing it in the right way, in the natural way, it is the nature's progression, it is the prakritic progression. And for a prakritic progression, there is no karma phala that binds the karta. The prakriti will be having its own phalam. That is why, say for example, I am coming and I am pushing Ravi Bhaiya. Now, if I am pushing because my intention and other things were wrong, as a karta, I get some sins. On the other hand, from a mere pushing, Ravi Bhaiya moved a couple of steps or fell down or whatever it is. Now, there is a karma phala. I'm pushing this mouse, the mouse moves. There is a karma phala. That karma phala, whether it binds the karta or not, is the one that defines the papam or punyam. So, na evam papam avapsyasi is to say that when that karta is not bound into that action, and when that action becomes the objective in itself, then there is no karma phala that binds you. That is what the main concept of this particular shloka is. In Bhashyam, Acharya says, Krishna is giving an advice to Arjuna. Treat the pleasure and pain, sukham and dukkham, equally without generating attachment or hatred, ragadvesha. Similarly, view gain and losses, victory and defeat with equal mindedness. Tataha, then, after that, thereafter, engage in battle, yuddhaya yujyasva. Exert yourself, which is gathasva, with full determination. Right? So that is the way that Shankaracharya puts it. If you don't fight with this spirit, that is fighting with selfish motives or what do you say, and wanting to gain the kingdom or wanting to defeat somebody, those kind of thoughts when you put in and try to fight instead of discharging your duty, then you will incur the sin. Otherwise there won't be any sin that will come to you. However, Krishna is also saying this instruction here is prasangikam, meaning it is incidental, meant for removing Arjuna's immediate grief and delusion. Shokam, moham, apanayanaya. Using common sense worldly logic, even considering your own Kshatriya dharma. So here the direct advice is being given to Arjuna. So Shankaracharya is emphasizing it here. So Shoka Moha Apanaya Naya. This instruction here is prasangikam, meaning it is incidental, meant for removing the immediate grief. But the true main teaching here is not just a worldly advice. The real focus is on Paramartha Darshanam, seeing the highest truth, now being introduced. Krishna will soon conclude this preliminary teaching by saying, this much has been explained to you. Esha te abhita sankhye. Though this shloka belongs to the Karma Yoga, the flow in Bhagavad Gita is such that in this shloka, Bhagavan has focused on a direct advice being given to Arjuna. It is very related to Arjuna. Now what he is going to do is he is going to go and divide the subject. What he says is for Sankhyas, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, those committed to knowledge. For yogis, Karma Yogena Yoginam, those committed to action. He will divide it and say that I have completed one section. Now I am going to go into the next section. Once this division is shown, the Bhagavad Gita will proceed Sukham Pravrittishyate. So Shankaracharya is saying, so far what you have been learning is very difficult subject. It is okay, but now it will be Sukham Pravrittishyate. Iti aha. The shloka number 39. It goes like this. Esha te bihita sankhye buddhiryoge tvimam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So here the true Karma Yoga starts, but we are still in the same introduction stage. Esha is all these, te to you, abhihita declare, told or described, sankhye, sankhya buddhi. Right? Now, yoga refers to Karma Yoga. Tvimam shrunu, tu imam shrunu. Tu is now, imam herein, now, after the following ones that we are going to talk about. Shrunu, listen. In tradition, whenever we hear that particular word listen, it is to draw your attention. Does it mean that Arjuna was not listening till now, so he's telling, hey, listen to this? No. When we want to draw an attention for careful listening, there is an expression, hey, listen to this kind of a stuff. So listen, Shrunu. Buddhya yukto yaya partha. Buddhya by intelligence. Yuktaha is joined. Yaya by which. That is, actions that which Sankhya Buddhi is united with karma, maintaining equanimity. Sankhya Buddhi is not Sankhya Yoga Buddhi. Here, samyak, or it is what is a state of equality, where when that particular buddhi, what is that, Partha, O Arjuna, karma bandham, the bondage that comes with karma, prahasyasi, you are released from that. That is the way Bhagavan moves to this one. So in the previous one, it was a direct statement, and here he is going into the spiritual, contextual karma yoga. That is the meaning of this shloka. Having spoken about Atma, Anatma, and about Dharma and Adharma, to an emphasis on action, Bhagavan had switched the context to Karma Yoga. Arjuna did not ask. Bhagavan said, okay, go get up and fight. And he said, okay, Bhagavan, you have said it, so I will go and fight, and he can go and fight. And Arjuna did not ask anything about it. He will not ask about this particular concept, the Karma Yoga, till the next chapter. Right? But if I am telling somebody to go perform an action, and I know that when you perform that action, you are likely to incur a sin, or you are likely to incur a punya, which is both considered to be generative of rebirth, which is not going to take you out of the samsara. When such advice I'm telling you, it is also very important to save you, to protect you from you falling into it. That is why Bhagavan did not wait for Arjuna to ask as to, hey, what you are asking me to go fight the war, how should I fight the war? Or what should my attitude be towards fighting the war? He might not have even thought about it. He had to be guided. And because Bhagavan had totally accepted what Arjuna had asked for, right? That which is good for me, yathu shreyah syan nishchitam bruhi. Once you have determined what is good for me, you tell me that. So when I ask you to engage in action, I don't want you to engage in action. I want you to engage in action as a yoga. Don't engage in karma, but engage in karma yoga. So he is trying to bring that concept to Arjuna. And you will understand the reason why he is saying this. Because when I'm talking to you, say in person, we know where we are, what we stand for, how much of what I have said has been understood by you. That is why we say Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita are better if in case they are in person. Because there is lot more that is transacted, that is communicated when there is a personal presence. Right? It has got some magic of igniting and generating more gyan. And there Arjuna is standing right next to Bhagavan. And Bhagavan knows that, hey, Arjuna is thinking in terms of fighting now, not performing it as a yoga, not performing it as a karma yoga. So I need to tell him. And after he tells all these things also, the third chapter, Arjuna will say, Jayasi chet karmanaste matha buddhir janardhana, right? Tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava, is the way that he speaks about in the third chapter. He says, hey, you are saying karma will bind you and jnana is the one which is going to liberate you, and you are asking me to go and do karma. How is it? So he missed the point of karma yoga. So Bhagavan has understood that he is not getting the karma yoga point of view. So he is voluntarily starting this topic. Now, in this shloka, Bhagavan creates a distinction. Sankhyam, the study of Atma, of the self, of the soul, versus the Buddhi Yogam. Right? Buddhir Yogam tu imam shrunu is the way that he puts it, right? There are some who add Sankhya Buddhi and Yogam alone, they take it. There are some who put it as Buddhi Yogam to equate to Karma Yoga. I have tried to apply both of them. Right? Because I have heard people speak of both. It doesn't really matter, because how you are free when you are reading a poetry, you are free to infer things. Right? And if so long as it is grammatically correct and you infer it properly, then it is absolutely fine. So there are people who have inferred it in both ways. So I thought I'll just put buddhihi as part of Sankhya buddhihi. And here I will say buddhi yogam, because I have heard both kinds of narration on this particular shloka. The application of prakritikamsa, which is karma yoga. The concept of buddhi is not atma vishayam, it is sharirak, it is body related. Buddhi is Sukshma Shariram. Of the 19 Sukshma Shariram that we call out in the parampara, in the tradition, it is after the pranan, the indriyas, 10 indriyas, 15. The 4 that we talk about is Chittam Manam Buddhi Ahankaram. That Buddhi is not a Atma Vishayam, it is Shariram. It is body related. In order to establish karma as that which includes thinking, analyzing, doing, etc., we call this as buddhi yoga. Because karma could remove that scope. Bhagavan uses the word buddhi yogam. When I am telling something about the Atma, the buddhi is taking it in. Now, buddhi is identifying and objectifying that Atma, or that expression that we are talking about. It is trying to put it into some specific form for the buddhi to understand. When you do that, you become the buddhi. That is not what the subject is. I say it is my buddhi, which is, it is not me, it belongs to me. So I am different from that buddhi. This realization should be there. And when you are talking in terms of action, you should be able to talk not just of your sharirak action, but also anything the Sukshma Sharira does, be it the pranan or anything. That is all part of the Sharir Amsam. What Bhagavan does in this shloka, he does the vibhajan of the Upadesh by stating that Esha The, up to this point, Abhihita Sankhye. It was told about the Atmagyan. To Imam Shrunu Buddhi Yogam. So from here on, you listen to the Karma Yoga. Yukta, when you associate yourself with this Buddhi Yogam, prahasyasi, you are liberated from karma bandham, the bondage that comes with karma. Why is Bhagavad introducing Karma Yoga here? Issue in hand is Arjuna's realization of samsara, means Atmagyan. Hurdle is karma bandham. Karma bandham, the bondage to karma. This bondage is the cause of samsara. If I continue to be in samsara, to realize and attain the Atmagyan will not be possible. Karma yoga is a means to prepare yourself for Atmagyan. There are some traditions which put it to establish the greatness of Bhagavan. They say that Bhagavan knew that Arjuna is not going to stop till he completes the Jnana Yoga, till he completes the 18th chapter. So, as a preparation towards giving the Jnana Yoga in the 13th chapter to the 18th chapter, he has introduced Karma Yoga here. There are traditions where I have heard the first 6 chapters to be called as Jnana Yoga and the last 6 chapters to be called as Karma Yoga. Right? So we have spoken about it, right? So it's called a Shadgatrayam. 3 parts of 6 chapters each. Right? And this is the first part, second part, and third part. There are, in our tradition, we call it as Karma Yogam, Bhakti Yogam, and Jnana Yogam. But I have come across some who come back and say that the first is Jnana Yogam because Sankhya is being communicated, despite having a chapter itself called as Karma Yoga there. And the rest of it, the last one is something that you are supposed to do. Right. So when they are talking about amanitvam, adhambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam, etc., they will say that these are all the things that you are supposed to do, and hence that section is called as Karma Yoga. It is just the way that you interpret it. But because in our tradition we put Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, there are some who are so devoted that they attribute the greatness of Bhagavan, who knows the future. And he knows this is what is coming. And to prepare him, he has introduced Karma Yoga. In the Sampradaya, we talk about Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. We have spoken about it earlier too. There are Chatushtayam, which is 4. Vivekam, Vairagyam, Shat Sampat, and Mumukshutva. These are all the 4. That is what is called as Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampattihi. Vivekam is the ability to discriminate. This is right, this is wrong. It is so difficult. The most learned people miss it out. What is right and what is wrong. And once they have expressed it, they will hold on to the wrong as though, nope, because I have said that is the right. What is the problem with them? For them, the vivekam is not fully lit. Right? The vivekam is the ability to dissect things and understand it in the true sense. That is what is vivekam. We create that vivekam through the ability of the mind to expand. All these things that we talk about. So we have always said Bhagavad Gita is not a class. It is a Shravana exercise. Right? It is done for the lifetime whenever possible. I do it even now. Right? Sometimes I listen to my own class, but I also listen to so many other classes. Right. That is one of the advantages. You put your headset on, you start this, and it just goes, what is it, at 30 percentage, 40 percentage, sometimes 5 percentage of attention. And you just continue to listen to it, which is absolutely fine. It is not addiction. At the same time, it is an exercise that I have to do. If in case I do it at all times, then that is bad. Shravanam also should not be done at all times. It must be done with that particular time that you set for it, just like meditation. Now, Vivekam is something that such Shravanam will bring into you. And our Shastram is one among the best because the extent to which it has done the logical analysis, I have not come across another one. Most of the other texts that I have seen is belief driven, or what we call as common sense driven, even in the philosophies and some kind of a books like illusions and other such books. I have seen that it is more common sense approach. J Krishnamurti, if you see, it is very analytical in nature, but it has different processes. There are several such things which enable your analytical capability to expand, and that is what Vivekam is. The next step is Vairagyam. Again, as I said, we will be talking about it in the second chapter itself towards the end, from 55 to 72. There is a place where Bhagavan says that even to the Jnani, this Manavikshepam can happen. Vairagyam is the ability to say no to your own weaknesses. Right? Developing a decrease in attraction to the object of the world and the inner desires is the way that I saw somebody had put it. Now, Vairagyam is that ability to remove that victim falling to things that you like. Shad Sampat is 6 qualities. Shamam, the inner tranquility. Develop peace of mind in you. Damam, gaining control on the sense organs. Mind, what do you say, your eyes or things, they just wander. And as soon as they catch an object of interest to you, it just goes towards that. So Dhammam is the control that you gain in your sense organs. Uparathi. Upar is a very common Hindi word, right? Uparathi is elevating yourself. That is, how do you do that? By developing a sense of completeness, right? So Uparathi is developing a fulfillment in you which will support the Vairagyam in you. That is the basic thing that we talk about from an Uparati point of view. We can talk a lot about Uparati. Titiksha is perseverance. Understand that the first time you will not get it, the 10th time you will get it. You have to go the 10th time. Having that perseverance in you to accept that, what do you say, difficult situation that comes when somebody is misbehaving, developing the tolerance in you. All these are part of Titiksha. Shraddha is faith. Samadhanam is focus. Harmonizing the mind into the things, into the thoughts and emotion. That internal development of peace is samadhanam between varying forces that are tearing you from within. Mumukshutvam. It is an intense and passionate longing or desire for enlightenment and liberation. Understanding that there is samsara in itself is difficult. ये तो कोई samsara है ही नहीं. Could be the way that the mind thinks, which may be true too. I'm not saying that everybody has to have samsara, right? Every common man will have samsara, and jnani is the one who doesn't have the samsara. But that jnani will be in the same state. That mumukshutvam is part of him. There is no difference. And when we need it, we are the ones who are supposed to go and get it. That is mumukshutvam. Having that focus to know, to clarify, to differentiate and understand the soul, the Atma. That is what in this context we talk about. Now, Karma Yoga is a means to prepare you for this. When you start developing your life as a Karma Yoga, you'll talk about a lot about Karma Yoga. It is not some new activity that you have to do. Whatever you are doing, with a change in your attitude, when you perform that, it is called as Karma Yoga. For that, and that when you change that attitude and perform your karma as a dharma, these are all the benefits that you will get in you. You will become better as a human being. As a person, you can see that things are more appealing to you. It is making more sense. Your understanding becomes better. And so long as you are a karmi, that is not going to happen. It is going to keep you in that vicious cycle of samsara. For you to break that vicious cycle of samsara, you must develop and go towards Karma Yoga as it is going to be explained in the following classes. Let us take a small overview of Karma Yoga. Karma refers to the activities that we do. Yoga in this context is a sadhana, an effort, a means, a tactic. Karma Yoga thus is a means making our actions, the duties and obligations that we discharge, as a tactic, as a means, as a sadhana, as a tool to achieve the supreme objective. So We are not trying to say that, hey, you have to learn this, you have to learn this Upanishad, you have to perform this puja, this yajna has to be performed so that you can go to this Svargaloka, etc. No. In Karma Yoga, whatever you are doing, using that as your tool to achieve the supreme objective, which is moksha. Let us take the example of bhakti. If one is to be advised that you have to perform a yajna for you to go to, you need to go to Shani temple every week. This would warrant you to take some time away from your regular function to perform this activity. On the other hand, Karma Yoga says, no, you don't have to do anything. What you do, change your attitude and do. That's about it. So doing this Karma Yoga is quite easy, but at the same time, it is very difficult because every time you try to do Karma Yoga, you will fall into the practice of being a karmi. And the ability for you to rise from that is also another karma that you continue to perform. That is why Karma Yoga is so supreme. How is this said in Shastra? Karmana badhyate jantuhu vidyaya cha vimuchyate tasmat karma na kurvanti karma bandha vimokshakaha. This comes in Mahabharata, right, in Shanti Parva, when Bhishma is advising Yudhishthira before he fully starts taking over the kingdom. He has been crowned the king and he's slowly getting into that place where he is getting these advices. Karmana, by action, badhyate, is bound, becomes entangled, jantuhu, vidyaya, through knowledge, cha vimuchyate, are liberated. Tasmat, karma na kuruvanti. By those who are seeking their liberation, they don't perform karma. Now, a king is being told you don't perform any karma. How is that possible? What it means is don't perform the karma as I am the doer. Perform the karma as a karma yoga. That is the thing that we say in tradition, basically. In Bhashyam, Acharya says, Esha the, this. So this understanding has been explained to you in Sankhya, meaning in the context of discrimination of the ultimate reality. Paramartha Vastu Viveka Vishaye is the way that Acharya puts it. Now, that Vishaye, that aspect has been explained to you. This knowledge, buddhi, directly removes the fundamental defects like grief, shoka, mohadi, which are the cause of worldly bondage. Right? Samsara hetu dosha nivritti karanam is the way that Acharya has put it. Now Krishna says, but in yoga, yoge tu, meaning in the path of karma yoga, as the means to attain the liberation, praptum upaye, with detachment, nisangataya, overcoming the pairs of opposite, dvandva praharana purvakam, the duality, right? So pleasure and pain, gain and loss, etc. And for the purpose of worshipping the Lord, Ishvara Aradhanarte. Very beautiful. This aspect, I missed it out in my notes. So another thing is, I think I hinted upon it. The action that we perform should be surrendered to the God, right? As though you are doing a puja, right? And what the results that you get, you take it as though you are eating your prasad. That Ishvara Aradhanarte, very beautiful word. Aradhana is such an important and a most appropriate word in this context. That is the kind of attitude that one needs to develop when performing any action. In Karma Yoga and Samadhi Yoga, this new teaching, Imam Buddhi, which Krishna is about to explain, Anantaram eva uchyamanam. Listen to it carefully. Shrunu. He further goes to say that Krishna is now praising that type of understanding, Kam Buddhim. Stautihi. Stautihi is from stuti. So he is praising it. In order to inspire Arjuna, prarochanartham, by the yoga-oriented understanding, buddhya yaya yoga vishayaya, one who is endowed, yuktaha, O Partha, you will be able to abandon the bondage of action. Karma bandham prahasyasi. It's a simple, straightforward note. What is meant by bondage of action? The binding effects of action, namely the cycle of virtue and vice. Dharma, adharma, akhyaha, bandhaha. Meaning the cycle of good karma and bad karma that keeps a soul tied to samsara. That is one thing that Shankaracharya has expressed and explained. So long as you are within the realm of karma, you are within this bondage of birth and death. And remember, birth and death is every moment. A death happens of the previous state and a birth comes into the new state. We simply put it as when this body I leave and go, that is called as death. And that is not the only thing that is mentioned, or that is not only thing that is told here. In every cycle, every change that you go through, there is a new you that is born, and the new you faces this similar kind of a problem, and they experience this over and over and over again in an endless cycle. From that, you will be liberated. Thus, by practicing yoga with the right buddhi, through the grace of Lord, Ishvara Prasada Nimittam is the way that he has put it. One completely gets freed from karma's bondage. So Acharya has given that emphasis for this particular shloka. And at this point, we will take a break and we will continue with our 40th shloka, when Bhagwan will move away a little bit. And, for us to be able to talk about something contrary must be taken up as an example to explain. Right? Now, first in this shloka, 40th shloka, he is going to praise the Karma Yoga in terms of the best things that it offers. And after that, he will be going into some aspects which are the weakening aspects that we encounter in our daily life. Right. So the following shlokas will be fun and a very commonsensical one. So let us enjoy it in our next week's class. I will take a break here and let us go to the Q&A. Ravi Bhaiya.
Jai Siaram, Uncle Ji. A very good class, and I really enjoyed it. I'm still very confused about confused to thoda hai, but the thing is that when we talk about karma, I just said, okay, then we don't have any attachment to the karma. What you do, it shouldn't be attached to the results of what it is. However, then there is a definition called good karma and bad karma. Now, how do I figure out which is good or which is bad? Because then we say we just have to do the karma. We don't have to attach ourselves to the result of the karma. Am I totally confused, or my question is all going round and round?
There can be no question which is bad, or which is, which doesn't stimulate such kind of a thought in us, which is what we want out of this class. So every question is supreme. I think you have asked a very good question. Yeah, right. First thing is this good karma, bad karma. In typical usage, it is about the accumulated sins and accumulated punya, the good deeds, which is reflecting on what you are experiencing. It is your good karma that this thing did not happen. Something major could have happened, your good karma. It's your karma because you did a bad karma. That is why this is happening to you. That is the common way that the use of the term good karma and bad karma I have seen in the society.
Yes.
From your question, you are more along the lines of the action that I am about to take, which is futuristic in nature. How am I going to perform good karmas or bad karmas? Right? This class is about overcoming this duality.
Okay.
In terms of the futuristic effect, when you get into the path of dharma, there is no good karma or bad karma. It is that which is required to be done in accordance with the dharma is what you will end up doing. Till such time, the actions that you voluntarily perform is karma. If it is within the bounds of dharma, I am supposed to go to office every day, and I go to office every day at 6:30, or I just go at any time that I like. Right. Now, both of these, I'm going to office, but in one, I have not followed the dharma. In the other, I have followed the dharma. It doesn't mean a rule is dharma. Right. The rule is maybe 8 o'clock office opens, but I work from 6:30 to 3, 3:30. Right. When I do that, it could be because I have had an arrangement or something of that sort. So it may not really fall into the defined rules. So long as it is within the context of dharma, of the right way to do that action, it is a right action. If it is filled with carelessness, if it is filled with ego, if it is filled with greed, right? All those kind of actions, we will talk about it in Devasrim Sampat, again, the 16th chapter, long way to go. But when you get into those things, you will understand what is a wrong action. And this is from a futuristic point of view.
Okay.
Right. So the way that we define it is Devim Sampat and this is Asurim Sampat. The effort that I put towards is what we define it to be. When our effort is towards the Devim Sampat, then that is the right action. When our effort is towards the Asurim Sampat, it is a wrong karma. This is the futuristic aspect of karma.
Okay. I mean, just a follow-up question on that, just
Sure.
clarity. Hypothetically speaking here, like every so days we go to temple and do the prayer. But one of these weeks, that particular day, I have to go and do something else for somebody. Now, is it okay to just not do that thing and do this thing like for somebody else?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Depends on what it is.
Okay.
Right. And when we do this particular thing,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we talk about it in Shastra is you can do a small prayaschittam. It
Okay.
need not be any big thing, right?
Okay.
I'm not able to do perform my puja,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I'm just going to tie a small coin into a yellow piece of cloth and leave it in the thing and saying that I will come back and do it,
Mm-hmm.
or tomorrow I will do it. Or it could be a, what do you say, hey, you can just call somebody at home and ask them to keep it. Or when you come back, you can go and say that, hey, I could not do it because of this, and we will continue doing it tomorrow, or something like that. That conscious awareness of having missed, if you perform it, it is good. We say that add it with a prayaschitta karma. When you
Okay.
know that you have a commitment, but there is something bigger that has come about, and you are not able to perform your commitment,
Okay.
then you can do a prayashchittam. And it is absolutely fine. The intention of prayashchittam is not to get the sin waived off. It
Okay.
is to keep your awareness at the supreme level. So
Okay.
the
Thank you.
sins
Because
being weighed off is from the karma, karma kanda point of view. In the
mm-hmm.
jnana kanda, when you have come down for the liberation, it is not wiping off the sins. We don't want to even wipe off the sins. This is generating an awareness in my mind.
Okay. Because every time I'm traveling and I'm not able to attend the class, it really bothers me to some degree. And I'm thinking, you know, how do I go through this thing?
Yeah. That is, again, as I said, it could just be that to say that, hey, I have not been able to attend the class, no
Okay.
problem. We will put this aside and we will do a prayashchittam.
Okay, Uncle Ji, thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Prabhakarji?
Uh, Thank you, Bhagavad. One moment I find I have understood everything. The other moment I'm once again lost into confusion. So now you said if I think I'm not the doer and I do it, then I do not carry any papa punya to that action. So in this thing, for example, if I am doing in that mindset, I will also do not need a prayashchittam to be done. Is that right?
Great question. Absolutely. As I said, when you are in that particular mindset, you don't need. But if it is a commitment that you have already done and you are unable to keep up that particular commitment, to be in the awareness of not being able to keep up that commitment is equally important. In Karma Kanda, we address it through something called as Prayaschittam. Right? Taking, doing another puja, another kriya, or something like that. In Jnana Kanda, which is what we are trying to do now, the Shravanam, Mananam, and Nitidhyasanam, to learn about the path to liberation, we still do the same thing, Prayaschittam, but the purpose has changed. The purpose is to be in the awareness about my commitment at all times. So the purpose just shifted. The action did not change. So for your question, do we need to do the Prayaschittam? Absolutely not. Is it good to do the Prayaschittam? Absolutely yes. It is the way of, it is, skill. So just because you're doing Karma Yoga, it doesn't mean you're not going to work at work, right? You still got to do your work. When you're doing your work, you want to upskill yourself. Similarly, if you have non-work related commitment and you are missing it out, you creating a reminder into you about it is an awareness into you about it, explicit awareness is good because it will take you towards the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti much more quickly and much more efficiently. And because it helps, no harm in doing the prayaschittam.
Awesome.
Did it answer your question?
Yeah. Once again, coming into that loop of thought process. Very good.
Awesome. And as I said, this is all colloquial, so there could be a lot more question in the Atmagyan. Yeah, there weren't many, but when it comes down to the Laukikam, there may be a lot. So feel free to open up and at any point in time for any question. No issues at all. If I know, I'll definitely
Thank
share
you. Thank
the knowledge that I have about it. Okay, let us call it a day and we'll meet again next week. Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.